So it looks like maybe you just got done training.
Yeah. We started a little late, so I literally just finished right now. Well, we did like a half session so we could get ready for these interviews.
So what kind of training did you just finish?
We just did some striking and then a little bit of grappling, a little bit of clinch work, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit about like how this fight came about. Obviously I know that who you're fighting and I know when, and I know it's for an alternate spot, but did you know that going in? Did you know it was going to be for an alternate spot, or did you get the fight first and then it changed into that? So can you kind of give me a little background on how that came about?
So I knew I was 1 or 2 away from being in the tournament. I was 2 away actually. So I was not the first alternate. Josh Hill was the alternate. So after my last fight, they hit me up pretty quickly, like probably like 5-6 days later. They contacted me and they were like, "Hey, do you want to fight Danny Sabatello?" At first, they didn't offer any. They didn't say anything really. I'm just coming off a fight, So I'm like, I was kind of soon, April 22nd. So what we did was we contacted them back and said, "Hey, you give me a new contract, we'll fight." And they were able to get me a new contract. So in the midst of them getting me a new contract is when they told me that the fight, whoever won this fight would be fighting in June against Leandro Higo in the tournament. So I kind of found out a little bit after the negotiation of getting a new contract.
So did you know that like in your last fight, did you kind of think about that in the back of your head? Like, I got to make this something special because this could be leveraged to get into that tournament? Or were you just kind of like, I'm just going to focus on this fight and not worry about the tournament?
Well, every single fight, I try my best to do my best and to give it my all because this is my craft, So I have faith in God, and the Bible tells us to everything that we do with our might, So I do my best every single fight. It's not just because the tournament's on the line doesn't really change my attitude towards a fight. Every single fight for me is like life or death. It means everything to me.
So tell me what you were thinking when you heard Danny as your opponent. What were your thoughts hearing his name?
He's just somebody that he fights over here in South Florida. So I've seen him since before I was even a professional, and I've seen the way he carries himself. I can't agree with the way he carries himself pretty much. Very mean guy, very snotty, very arrogant. To everybody he fights and the people around him, thinks he's the best thing in the world, when really his repertoire is very limited. As you can see, he's just a wrestler. But just knowing who he's been for a long time, somebody I've wanted to fight for a long time. And in one of his interviews, he says that he called me out. He's been calling me out for years, since back when he was in the regionals and since I was in the regionals. But the thing about it is I actually recorded that and I posted a screenshot where it shows me contacting him saying, "Let me get a shot at your title in Titan FC," before Bellator. This is back when I was like 2-0. I was a little guy, so obviously he wouldn't have to listen to me, but he never responded. And then when he finally got to Bellator, that's when I was already ranked at that time. And then he starts calling me out. So I'm giving him the same treatment he was giving me back then. You know what I'm saying? But it just lies, man. The guy's full of lies. Like, how could you have been calling me out when you were champ and I was like 2-0?
Yeah,
how would you be? What sense does that make? So he wasn't calling me out. And then I posted the screenshot that shows when I hit him up, 2 years, no response. So just full of lies, arrogancy, and somebody that I can't wait to shut him up and to humble him, because we don't need him as an influence for the world.
So does it make it easier when you're fighting somebody that you kind of like already have a little bit of animosity with, rather than somebody that maybe you respect? Or is there really a difference when you get in there? It's just a person, it's just a body, it doesn't matter who they are.
Ultimately, the things that I'm saying about him have nothing to do with the fight. The fight's going to be, I'm going to fight the same way regardless. No matter if I dislike someone, no matter if I love them, they're my best friend, it would be the same exact thing. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to perform to the best of my ability regardless. But the things I'm saying is just about him as a person, and these things stand outside of the fight. Whether he cancels and doesn't even fight that day, these things still stand. He's still a terrible person that shouldn't be put in a position to influence anyone.
And you're going to be fighting in Hawaii, which is pretty dang cool. Have you been to Hawaii before? Is this your first time?
First time. Yeah, first time. Mm-hmm.
Are you able to get excited about the fact that it's in Hawaii and that maybe you can see this beautiful place? Or are you just so focused on the fight you can't get excited about that?
Yeah. it's just a business trip. You know, the majority of the time that I'll be there, I'll be cutting weight and I'll be fighting. So for me, it's very important to me. You know, I don't take this lightly. It's not a joke to me. You know, I don't go there with the mindset of yippee, I'm gonna have fun. You know, my family's gonna come, so my wife and kids, they'll have fun. But for me, it's serious. You know, it's my livelihood on the line. It's just money's on the line. My career's on the line. You know, so it's important for me.
Are you going to be able to stay at all afterwards and enjoy it at least even a day?
Yeah. So the way like when I would fight in America, they would usually send me out the next day. They send me right back home, and so they did that to me in Ireland. So I didn't get to spend any time and do anything in Ireland. So now that I know that's what they do, I told them before, and hey, get my ticket a few days later. I'll pay for my hotel after that, but get my ticket for a few days later. That way I can spend some time over there for sure.
That's smart. And so obviously you already mentioned, you would be going, if you win this fight, you'd be going up against you, and like, you already know who you're going to fight. You already know when. Does that give you, you always hear fighters say, you don't want to look past this opponent, but you already kind of do have to look past your opponent because you've already been given that path. How do you think of that fight going?
I actually don't agree with the thing. Oh, I don't want to look past my opponent. I don't agree with that because at some point you got to realize that when you fight, you have to give it 100%, and your mind has to be 100% in it, and that can't change regardless if you're looking past someone, regardless if you're mad at someone, if you love someone, no matter if there's no money on the line, no matter if there is money on the line. No matter what happens, you have to give that fight 100%. So I can think about the next 4 fights. I can think about my whole career. I can look way past them. Doesn't mean when I go in there on that night, I'm not going to give it everything. And it doesn't mean I'm not preparing and mentally getting everything in place for when I go fight him. So I'm definitely, thinking about Leandro Higo, which is next. And then Archuleta and Stotts would be one of them would be after that. Definitely. I'm mindful of those things.
So you mentioned Stotts and Archuleta. Who do you think takes that fight?
That's a good fight, man. You got Archuleta. He's crazy cardio, and he's a dog, pushes really hard. And then you got Stotts, who's also very, very tough, gritty, get in your face, a lot of pressure. I don't know. It depends. I feel like if Stotts can get a hold of Archuleta and kind of like sag on him all night, then he could probably win the fight if he kind of like stalls him that way. But I think if they trade and if the fight takes place more like in the middle and things like that, I think Archuleta will probably be able to get it.
Is there a person you would prefer to fight over the two?
Stotts, just because Stotts' name is beating him would be better. Archuleta is obviously he's a great fighter and things like that, but everyone talks about Stotts. Stotts is the toughest guy. Everybody, so he's the guy that everybody's is putting all the eggs in his basket, So I believe in God, and I definitely want to overcome that mountain and show that my God is real.
Awesome. And I guess my last question for you is if you have a prediction for your fight with Danny.
I don't have a prediction, but I'm definitely going in there looking to stop him and put my whole heart out there, leave everything in the ring. There won't be anything that when I go home, like, damn, I should have done this, should have done that. I'm looking to go in there and do everything possible to finish him and to humble him and get him out, get him out of the public eye because he doesn't need to be there. We don't need him as an influence.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and good luck with the rest of your interviews and the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.